So, welcome to today's coaching clinic, a gentler experience of loss. And obviously, this topic is very close to all of our hearts at the moment. It seems like we can't really go through life without coming up against loss in some form. And even some of my own clients that I speak to, haven't had the easiest time when it's come to the pandemic. And it's been a form of great change and loss where their businesses are concerned or where their careers are concerned. So today isn't even solely about heartbreak and loss around losing someone in your life, as I myself did, having lost the love of my life coming up on 2 years now in December. This isn't just about loss in that area, but it's also about loss of any kind, because what I've come to see about loss will be healing to all of you in any circumstances that loss is occurring or has occurred. So we're going to start today with like a deeply healing meditation to support opening up to more feelings of gain and lightness and joy and magic and fun and delightfulness. And that might seem miles away from where you're at the moment in terms of whatever loss you're up against or have been up against. But I want you to know that those feelings are one thought away. Time is not the great healer. Everybody talks about time being the great healer. It's even faster and simpler than that. Our healing is one thought away. Our healing is within us. Our healing isn't dependent on time. Our turnaround, our change in life, in circumstances, in romance, in finances, in every aspect of our lives isn't about waiting it out for things to feel better and easier. It's actually about seeing how we're using this powerful gift that we came into the world with, how we're using this gift of thought for ourselves or against ourselves. And that is not to negate loss, but it will render you hopeful to realize that you can have a whole new and more gentle experience of loss, not based on how the clock is ticking and where you're at on your healing timeline, but based on you seeing something fresh and new, experiencing a new thought about your situation. And really what we call that in the type of coaching that I offer is an insight. The coaching that I see as the most effective in the world is the one where the client sees for herself or himself what they need to see, rather than learning a set of tools or techniques to apply into their daily life. When you have a sight from within, an insight, when you have intuition, tuition within, the tutor within, the teacher within, when you have that combination operating on your side, change is inevitable. And the good news is, like I said, it's not based on a timeline. It's based on one thought away, one insight, one change from within, one intuitive seeing. So let's just ground in here today and see what you get to see for yourself on this subject of loss. Let's grind in here with a gentle meditation and see where we go. So just close your eyes. And I love the count of the breath using the count of 4. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Keep that rhythm going for a few minutes. Breath translates as spirit. How wonderful we have this spirit within to calm us down. In for 4. And I just see roots coming from your feet, down through the ground, down into the underground, all the way down to a rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Feel golden light emanating from the rock, up through the underground, through the ground, up into the floorboards, up into your feet, this golden elixir of light, healing energy. And using your intention now, let that light sweep up through your body. Just see it moving up through your body, through each part of you. Focusing the light anywhere in particular that might be painful or uncomfortable or tense. And as the light comes up, really just see it surrounding you. See it moving up and down the spine, reaching up into the head and out through the hair. See the light becoming part of you, being part of you. And in your mind's eye, I just want you to see in front of you a beautiful golden path. You're going to step up onto that path and begin to walk along it. The sun is shining down. There's a slight breeze in the air. Nature's all around you. And up ahead, there's a body of water. So you're headed towards that water. Notice the water. Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it a small body of water or a large body of water? The water representing resistance. So often in our life, without realizing it, we're really in resistance to what is, to what's happened, to what's happening. We want to become like the water, just non-resistant, just flowing. Tide comes in and tide goes out. Waves can be big, waves can be small. Waves aren't comparing themselves to other waves and feeling apart from the ocean or the sea or the lake. They're just doing their thing. This is healing water. So you're going to step into it fully clothed and completely safe. And as you're stepping into it, I want you to bring with you the loss that you hold in your heart. It may be a loss that happened to you way back in childhood. It may be a loss that happened to you during the pandemic. It may be a loss that's happening to you right now, or it could be a loss that you're facing. Parents getting elderly, maybe pets, suffering in some way. It could be any sort of loss, past or present, but I want you to bring it with you into the water. And when I say bring it with you however you want. It could be in a backpack. It could be a person standing next to you. It could be a small stone that you've decided to hold in your hand and bring it forth into the water. It doesn't matter. Your intention is what matters here. So in this body of water, you are safe. Your loss and you are cleansed. You become one with all of the water. And you just watch yourself bathing, relaxed, the sun beaming down upon you. You begin to notice that this loss is one with life. That this loss is part of life. That this loss is even divinely part of your life. You drop out of resistance towards it, even if you've been holding it 20 years. But feel yourself being cleansed and cleared and freed as you bathe in the water and release the loss back into the oneness of all of life. Notice yourself relaxed and at ease. And from this body of water, you begin to just gently and easily walk out, leaving the loss behind but not forgotten in the water, back within all of life. But as you're exiting the water, feel yourself lighter in this loss. Feel yourself thankful that you have been able to navigate regardless of this loss. and feel yourself hopeful for the gain that will be yours as a result of this loss. For there is no loss without gain. Maybe you already know what the gain is. Maybe you already know what the gain has been. Maybe you're still searching for the gain. Ask to be awakened and alerted to the gain. For God will pay you double for your trouble. Trust me on that. And as you exit the water, feeling lighter, feeling hopeful, leaving the loss back with the oneness of life, you can step onto the golden path and move along it gently. You're completely and miraculously dry. And the colors around you are even more vibrant. As you come to the end of the path, just step down and into your body, into this moment, into the room, into the clinic. Feel yourself relaxed. Begin to gently move your toes and your fingers and see those roots coming from your feet down into the ground, down into the underground, right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Feel yourself strengthened by this rock, grounded, centered, and continue to let the healing emerge. As you focus now on receiving the teaching and the coaching in the clinic. So just come back in when you're ready. Just feel yourself here. Sometimes it's good to have some water. Does anyone have a question about loss or this subject? Something to help me open up on that would be relevant or useful? Can be any question. Or anything you want to hear about. Don't worry if not. If nothing's coming, it's okay. What strikes me to share, or at least start with, is that lately I've been working with a client who lost her son to an accident on a train line. And as I was working with this client, I learned, oh, thank you, Adele. Yeah, okay. I learned so much about human resiliency. Because although I have experience of my own tragic loss, and although I have navigated that with a certain strength and confidence and gracefulness I didn't know was possible. I wasn't quite sure if there was something wrong with me a lot of the time. You know, like, am I in denial? How come I feel so good? I'm not supposed to feel this good when I've lost my fiance. Until I started working with this client. And as we worked together on her experience of losing her son, who was only 20, I believe, I witnessed her go from desperate and helpless around her emotions and her experience of the loss to centered and quiet and deeply connected to the love she and he shared. I knew then I wasn't the exception to the rule. I knew then that time wasn't the great healer. Love was. And that we're one thought away, one insight away from a whole new world. Even if we've been suffering for years around something. So I watched this woman come into feelings of love and well-being. And yes, she still would come in and her tears would emerge, and yet she was holding and being held so much more by her love than by her loss. That's miraculous. But that is the power, as I see it, in understanding not only how the mind works, but how deeply spiritually connected we all are to the love that never dies. Our physical form may dissipate and deteriorate and die, but the love is eternal. And it can be hard to see that, of course, if you're having a horrible experience and you're getting divorced and, there looks like anything but love right now between you and another person. But I invite you to see that your experience of losing them is subject to change as you move into fresh thought. Now, how do we get fresh thought? We get an insight. That's why most of you come here to the clinic. You're looking for fresh thoughts around something. And as I share, you begin to remember. You begin to fall out of your hurricane and your mental distraught, and you begin to fall back into that peaceful, loving presence that is within you. Just under the storm, there is that quiet. You don't need to be in the coaching clinic or in a coaching scenario to get an insight, to fall out of that level of noise. It just so happens that in looking in this direction, you're more likely to collapse the timeline between what you're searching for and actually receiving it. So we get a sight from within, and it opens us up to a whole new world. a whole new experience, a gentler experience. And whilst I have witnessed myself go in and out of different states of mind in the last 2 years, naturally, it has also felt like I was in it, but not consumed by it. And I saw that in this client. She was in her loss, but no longer consumed by it. She even ended up at a weekend seminar with bereaved parents. And the bereaved parents were asking her how she'd been able to tell her tragic story without losing herself emotionally. And how they felt a sense of ease coming from her. Because that's the beautiful thing, is that when you move back into your alignment and your feelings of love, people feel that from you. You can't bullshit your way through this. People feel the level of well-being you're coming from, the level of truth you're emanating. They recognize it and they want it for themselves, because guess what? All of us in this world are wired for well-being. We're not wired to get more loss and tragedy and sickness and desperation and helplessness and hopelessness. No, we're not. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want more of that. Everybody wakes up in the morning wired to feel better. And everybody's doing the best they can to feel better. So one of the greatest lessons that I have taken from loss is that joy and love and laughter is all part of the experience, is all there, is all one thought away. I spent many an evening or a day or around the dinner table with Francesco's family. I mean, I lived there for 8 months after he died. And I spent many an evening around the table recounting stories and being in joy and laughter. This was even in the initial stages. Like, I'm talking even within a month. There was some level of spiritual protection that I believe arrives for all of us during the most challenging times. So the whole range of human emotion was always there. Love was always there. One of the ways I've come into deep connection is I've begun to see, oh, this loss has taken on a new form. Now he's with me in ways he could never have been when he was alive. Because now he's not in time and space, dragged down by what he can and can't do on any given day. Now he's available, his energy is available 24/7. And one of the ways that he gets through to me is in song. He loved music and he loved to sing. And I've been feeling really like kind of heavy and serious about life. And I asked, please speak to me, please share with me, help me. And I fell asleep from ICS and I woke up hearing, and you are the dancing queen, young and sweet, only 17. And I knew immediately he was giving me a message. So what I now do is I go, when I hear song, I go and I look up the lyrics and I read the lyrics of the song until I really get the message. Having the time of your life. I mean, I couldn't make this up. It was basically reminding me to lighten up, which is what I needed in the moment. My gain, my personal gain, has been to have connection in this new form. My discipline has been to be in communication with that connection and to be looking for, listening out for, noticing the signs. My client who I shared with you about wasn't sure if she could do that with her son because of her religious background and what is taught in her church about death. And yet, something in her, as she lightened up, as she fell back into feelings of love and well-being, something in her just began to communicate and connect with this new form that her son has taken on. And her comfort and her confidence have just opened up as a result. Now, for some people, that's just too much. That's what people are calling denial. This is what people are calling crazy. But for those of us that are grounded in our true nature, we know that the spirit doesn't die and vanish into the unknown, but rather changes form. I thought I was spiritual before Francesco died. His death has brought me into a whole new level of realizing who we really are at core and how we're all interconnected. So loss will always have gain, and loss will be experienced based on your state of mind on any given day. In a low state of mind, my experience of loss is pretty horrible. And on a different floor on the elevator of consciousness, as I remember truth, as I wake up to well-being, as I fall back into a quieter mind and into feelings of love, on a higher level of consciousness, in a higher state of mind, my experience of loss is completely different. You're one thought away from a whole new experience, more gentle experience of anything you're up against. And I don't know about you, but there's something hopeful in that. It's not 10 years away. It's not 6 more books away. It's not a world trip in all the most luxurious locations away, and then you'll feel okay. It's one thought away. And that thought isn't something you have to go looking for. It's something that you'll see for yourself and from within that shifts you out of lower states of mind and back into love and well-being. Questions at this point? Comments? Anything you want to hear about?
It's so easy to try to find that one thought once you say it's only one thought away. Yeah. And I guess searching for that one thought is gonna take us further away from the peace of mind and happiness and love that is actually our state or our innate natural born state of mind, or I guess it's always in us. Mm-hmm. In a way, isn't it? That state of feeling like we're all one, feeling that love. That ultimately that's what we're all searching for in a way, and the more we try to search and find it, the further away it gets in a way, because it gets in the way for our clarity and peace of mind. And yeah,
it's like anything. It's like anything, Annette, isn't it? It's like once you start to go looking for something, you know, it's almost like you begin to repel it. You know, I have some of my clients, they're looking for clients. And it's like, we don't find what we're looking for when we're out there searching. And that's what I'm hearing you say. Is that correct?
Yeah. Not that I always feel like that, but intellectually I can know that that's how it works, but it doesn't stop me from wanting to go searching for something, or yeah, whether it's getting away from some situation and trying to look for, yeah, I think I'm becoming more and more aware of not looking elsewhere to get away from whatever situation I'm in, whether it's about loss or if it's getting more clients, or to really turn it 180 degrees and see how most of the time we're doing exactly the opposite of what we should do, in a way, by searching out there instead of becoming more calm and having more peace within and letting that answer come to us.
Yeah. I think we scare ourselves a lot unknowingly. And when we are scaring ourselves and have a gun to our head, we kind of get into action mode and we speed up and we start searching and we're looking for, and we're just, you know, we're out there, but we're blind, like we're in the dark. It's kind of like scrambling in the dark. And yet one thought away is like the light goes on in the dark room and suddenly you see clearly. I love this line. I'm not particularly biblical, but I love this line from the Bible, which is I often hear it when I'm in communication with God. It's like, stand ye still and see the salvation of the Lord.
Mm.
It's the last thing any of us do when we get scared. We don't stand still. We get frantic.
Mm.
And I liken that to, Annette, you've heard me say this before, when an animal gets lost in the wild, the first thing they do is they stop to regain their bearings, to sense which direction to go in. Humans are the only species that speed up when they get lost or get scared, feel strong emotions. And it's so innocent, but yet, as you said, Annette, it's under all of that noise that we have fresh thought and feelings of well-being and peace and love versus grief. Grief is the complete opposite of alignment and love. Grief is just a really good indicator for when we have gotten lost in our scary thoughts. And one of the things I've learned is that the amount of I suffer has no relationship to the amount that I loved. There's this notion that, if you were suffering more, it would mean that you loved more, you loved him more. There are these false kind of beliefs and concepts about how society should grieve.
And I also loved, the song that you woke up to, Dancing Queen and all sweet and whatever, and have the time of your life. It was just a reminder to me, that to take life, as you also said, not so serious, take it more lightly, enjoy and let things come to us.
Exactly.
Let life come to us, and that we really don't need to figure everything out and have the answers ourselves. We can trust life in a way and let life come to us, is what I heard when you mentioned that.
Yeah. Figuring out and needing to figure out is often one of the ways that we keep ourselves out of the peace and out of the enjoyment of the moment. I mean, it's a habit of thought, isn't it? When we are constantly in figuring out mode. Thank you so much, Annette. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And for some of you here, listening to the replay as well, this might not make any sense to you at all. But you might just notice that you got on this call, this clinic, fast and sped up and maybe overwhelmed and maybe exhausted or maybe with a lot of things on your mind, and you finish this clinic a little bit gentler. And that alone is what I call the serum going in. That alone is where fresh thought can begin to emerge for you. Might not be immediately after this clinic, but it might be throughout the course of the day or the week. You know, when I get really fast and get back into habits of thoughts that aren't helpful, and it looks to me like I've got so many things to do, and if I don't get them all done right now, then I'm not going to be able to relax. Well, that's the very moment I've learned to go and lie on the couch and listen to truth. Now, the old me wasn't as smart as that. She used to listen to that urgent thinking, and then she would continue to go about her day at the speed of light and feel pain in her shoulder blade and ignore it, even though her shoulder was trying to tell her, you know, stop efforting, Grace. But I didn't have that wisdom back then. I didn't understand back then that I was putting the gun to my head. And that when I was putting the gun to my head, the very thing to do, like Annette was saying, was to actually slow down, not to keep running. And so whether you listen to these clinics as a form of serum to slow yourself down, or whether you don't have a clue half the time what we're talking about, but you seem to feel a wee bit better by the time you finish the clinic, great. All of that opens you up to begin to see some fresh insight. I had this moment last week where I could feel myself needing to get to a lot of things. And then I was like, I'm just going to lie here and switch on some truth. And I switched on truth, and I had no idea what they were really talking about. These two teachers that I follow. And I could feel myself frustrated at how slow they were talking and how happy they were. I mean, that was really annoying. They were so happy. And I was just like, oh, this is annoying. And they're so happy. But within 20 minutes of listening, even though part of me was listening to the noise in my head and part of me was listening to them, I went from this to this. And then I went about my day in a way more graceful, gentle pace, getting things done without a gun to my head. That's available for all of us. And it's not based on what the teacher says. Don't think that this is based on what I say. It is based on the level of well-being the teacher is coming from, emanating from, that helps you and I go back up into our well-being, because we start to fall out of this crazy, busy mind. And we start to fall into feelings of a little gentler, a little quieter, a little less tragic, a little more connected, a little more graceful. And for anyone who thinks, well, they can't get stuff done without a gun to their head, you need to get in touch with me. I have managed to build a very wonderful and beautiful life and business, first based on a gun to my head, and then based on the opposite. Effort is optional. Urgency is optional. Worry is optional. Loss is not optional. Life will bring you loss, but your experience of loss is optional, because how you experience it will be based on what your thoughts about it are on any given day. And in a low state, your thoughts will not be very truthful or reliable. And in a higher state, your thoughts will be very useful and informative. So learn to trust your experiences and your decisions in life when you're operating from that higher state, and learn to be a little less interested in what your mind is saying, especially about loss, when you're in a lower state, tired, exhausted, overwhelmed, overstretched. I hope this has been helpful today. I never quite know what is going to come out, but hopefully the feeling you're moving into is a little gentler and a little easier. And if I can help you in the area of navigating the loss you're up against, or any potential loss you've got a bit of a gun to your head about in the future, get in touch, gracefulcoaching@gmail.com. My job, my role these days is to help you have a gentler experience of life. And for some of you, that will be a gentler experience of how you're running your business and doing your work in the world. But for others of you, that will be a gentler experience of a heartbreak or an emotional situation or a loss that you've experienced in your life. It really doesn't matter what the subject is. But I'd invite you to get in touch if you feel called to experience one thought away rather than keep navigating something and hoping that time will fix it. You know, that's what we coaches are here for in the world. We're really here to collapse those timelines and help you realign with the divine and who you really are and see the truth of any situation. So I'm looking forward to being back with you. It won't be next week, it'll be after. So there'll be no coaching clinic next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I'll be in London, and I look forward to seeing some of you there. In the meantime, have a really beautiful rest of your day, and yeah, lots of love on your journey. Take care. Ciao.